Would you say that, like, did you get burned out on playing quarterback?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Thank you.
Damn it.
No, it's okay. It was a good question. I could tell. I could tell you
That
meant
one
that
was a good
Yeah.
question.
Like, is there a burnout factor?
Not about being maybe a little bit about being quarterback. And I think in that article you referenced, Big Cat, that I think I addressed that to a certain degree. Injuries adding up, I think is a common theme in any professional athlete's sort of coming to an end in a career, and that was certainly a big part of mine. And yes, parts of it I think got tiring. Maybe that's too light of a way to say it. Maybe burnout is part of it for sure.
Yeah. Was football still fun for you at the end?
No, not like a game. And I found the fun in it again though, not playing, which is I'm not gonna say full circle, but I think in the windy way that life works. Like I did not love football when I did not love football like you need to play quarterback. I think I also realized that to go back to playing quarterback, you're either like all in or you're not. It's to me, in my mind, the scheme of how you emotionally invested, physically, psychologically, spiritually invested in quarterback is like it's binary.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You either aren't or you are 100% in. And I hit a point in my life where I was like, I am unwilling to hop to the 100% in, so I can't do it.
Yeah. And the article was, like I said, really great because I feel like you were able to fully explain it. And I reading it was like, oh, I think I understand the complexity of this, because as fans, we just see it as Andrew Luck just walked away from something that everyone like would dream, their dream job. Like, how could he do this? But were you shocked yourself when you came to the conclusion, like your own conclusion, where you're like, oh shit, I actually think I do kind of want to walk away? Because I feel like that would be a very illuminating moment where it clicks and you're like, oh man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was by far the hardest decision of my life. And then when it did sort of finally, when I allowed myself to ask the actual question that mattered.
Right.
And then and allowed myself to give an answer to the question that was truthful. Mm-hmm. It was like, whoa, okay, this has been hard, but this is what I have to do.
Right.
So there was a moment of clarity. It was the hardest decision of my life, but also like the most clarity I've had about something. And look, I did not feel alone through that as well. And I can't imagine going through a process feeling alone.
Right.
Through that, like my girlfriend at the time, her wife, like the agents, my friends. I mean, Sam flew to Indianapolis to talk to me, and this was kick. But like, man, it feels amazing to have people that love you around you.
Yeah.
Like that's like we all deserve that. And then I'll say this: it was my dream to play quarterback, and I feel so grateful and privileged that I got to do that.
Right.
It was awesome, and it did not end fairy tale-esque by any means. You have an AFC finalist banner.
Yeah.
It's a great
For
banner.
us, you don't have a Super Bowl banner for the.
How many guys can say they have an AFC finalist banner?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, because they don't make those banners.
when they hung that up, were you like, oh God?
I didn't pay one bit of attention. I have no idea when it was hung up or taken down. I understand that you guys have had a story about it for a while.
This is back to you having a flip phone, which is smart.
Yeah. which is cool, but like, I don't know. Sam explained on the drive-in that like there's going to be a banner there, and I was like, I think I know that there's some story behind this, and then it turns out the banner's huge.
Yeah,
massive.
Enormous. So all right, so when you do make the decision, and I always felt bad that it like got leaked, obviously with Schefter, and then you have the moment on the field. That had to be like really hard to have it be rushed, because you had it probably in your head like, hey, this is how I want to do it. I know it's a big decision. I know it's going to shock some people, but then have it kind of taken away from you where someone else reports it and you don't get to say it, and then you have to deal with the fans on the field and everything. That sucks.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it was difficult.
Yeah.
Also, like, you survive, you move on. I felt a couple things. One, I had written a couple drafts of like a retirement press conference. It wasn't like going to be a happy retirement press conference, obviously, not like the traditional ones you see. But I'd written a couple drafts and shared it with Matt Conti, our PR guy at the time, and I still think so. So he at least had a copy of something for me to talk about after the game. So I was thankful about that. I felt good about it. I was like, this is like writing it's like writing a paper for school and you actually put in a couple drafts and get notes back from the professor.
Right.
Like, yeah, good job, Andrew. There you go. Pat on the back.
Yeah.
Two things. I had taken the opportunity to tell the guys on the team on Friday and Saturday morning that I'd been with for a while.
That's good.
That I'd felt very much like
Yeah.
tethered to, like T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
Who I love.
Yeah.
And who made playing football fun.
Yeah.
Like throwing to a dude like that. I don't think people understand how fun it is when like you have a connection to a receiver like that when you're rookies together, and you like fun and so that was like the real bittersweet stuff was telling him and Jack Doyle and Anthony and Quentin Nelson, who I didn't, we'd played 1 year together as a rookie, but like just like a lovable and loving guy.
Yeah.
And Ryan Kelly. So I'd had the chance to tell, and Clayton Geathers and some of the coaches. So at least, and I didn't have a chance to tell everybody, and that's what hurts because being a teammate. But like to a certain degree, I was also quitting on them, and I understand that like it's hard. That's hard, and it's not. It's hard to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And that's a part of me that like I get. It stinks. I live with that and own it, and that's okay. It's part of me. The other thing is during the game, like I remember there were 8 minutes left, and I swear I felt the cameras turn on me or something, and like immediately, like I don't know if you've had this experience in life where there is just such certainty that something has happened.
Right.
It's like, oh shit, it's out.
Yeah.
I know it's out. And I just remember going and standing next to Anthony Costanzo, I think Mark Lewinsky and Ryan Kelly, and just standing between them. And just like, hey guys, I'm just going to stand between you for the next 8 minutes.
Protect me one last time.
Yeah, and I'm going to stand there. And again, I didn't feel alone.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't mean this in a cheesy way. Like I felt like they had my back, for those 8 minutes. And I'll be forever appreciative of that. And indebted to that because they were great teammates in a moment they didn't have to be.
So wait. So the real question though, when you retired, because I think everyone thinks this, was there ever a second where you got a call or you're like, oh, maybe I want to come back? Because I think that's the part that people always are drawn to, whether it be Barry Sanders or Calvin Johnson or anyone who walks away a little bit early.
Brett Favre.
They always think in the off season or just random times like, oh, maybe Andrew Luck will come back. You know what I mean? And so it's a dumb thing that fans do, but they have that in the back of their head for a very long time thinking, oh yeah, maybe he's going to come back. There was never a second where it was even like a little bit of, ooh, maybe I should do it.
Nope.
That's pretty awesome. Because I don't think having that clarity and having that ability to be like, that's it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you got calls.
No.
I said the one from, was it Frank Reich texted you being like message in a bottle? I sent it out in SOS.
I have a great relationship with Frank.
Yeah.
And
we
please. And Nick Sirianni, and stoked for him as well. But no, I would stay friendly with Frank and chat, but no. And like again, like I love football in a different way.
Right
now, it's why I volunteer coached at Palo Alto High School for the past couple of years. It's why I'm back in this position for many reasons. At Stanford, and but just not as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody that sees you retire and is like that fucking pussy, I would kill to play quarterback. You lacerated your kidney in a game.
Yeah,
like that's it. I think most.
And you just described it as I wasn't feeling very good.
Yeah, most reasonable people, if they went out there and they did something at their job where they went home one day with a lacerated kidney, they'd probably talk to their wife and be like, I don't know if this is the right career for me.
Yeah,
I think that's a completely fair conversation to have. And then there is a flip side to it, though. So once you reach that decision where you say, I'm confident, I no longer, my heart's not in it, it's not fair to everybody else if I keep playing, it's not fair to myself if I keep playing, that's got to be a great moment of clarity where you realize confidently this is what I want to do. And then after you actually walk away, there's probably going to be some time where you have to establish a brand new identity for yourself because your job, if you're an NFL player and a quarterback especially, for so long, that's been a big part of your identity. And so did you feel like, I don't want to say empty if that's the right word, but did you feel like, okay, I need to separate myself and start my own new identity at this moment?
Before I answer that, I'll go back to the job thing and the lacerating kidney. Mm-hmm. It was such a privilege to play quarterback and to make money doing it and do it. Like, it was awesome. So I never once felt pity for myself for playing the position and getting paid. Amazing.
Right.
Amazing. Two, identity. Yeah, it was way more. Being a quarterback was way more of my identity than I realized. Absolutely. And discovering, I don't mean this, maybe it sounds mumbo jumbo, but like having to learn about myself and discover a new one. And like we had our first daughter born a few months after I retired. That certainly helped provide purpose. Like obviously there's a deep biological purpose, you know, of like kids, you know, and tending to them. But my wife also, like, she, you know, I was processing COVID hits, so we're all together with a little baby, you know, stuff, and I was processing football, and I'm you know, in a career, and you know, finding myself, and had some amazing people, you know, through it, and still, and friends, etc. And she turned to me at one day, and I'm an out loud processor, like, you know, I just talk, and most of it's just like air if I'm just, you know, and she's like, she turned to me one day in the middle of COVID, and was like, is it possible for someone to talk about themselves more than you right now? And I said, probably not. I kept doing it. We made it through. But yeah, a big part of it was identity. And I think it's like, you know, sort of locating myself, who I am in the world, and grounding me in it. I think that was part of the process.
Yeah.
Did you ever, did your dad call you up when he started the XFL? Did he call you and say, "Hey, Andrew, I can get you 25 million.
Really?
You want to come back
really
for one
use you
season?"
for a game.
Bad question. Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's reading that article, like I said, everyone should go read it, because it did feel like
So you do read, man.
I do read, but it's an article.
It's
and
about
it took me,
sports.
I think I think
that
I
wasn't
stopped,
a short article.
I think I
as
stopped
remember.
and started 4 different times.
You made it through.
Yeah, but I made
Four
it through.
quarters. 4 quarters. Hey, when you got to the 4th restart, like 4 quarter, did you
I
give
put
yourself
up the
one?
4s. I was like, hell yes, put up the 4s. Oh man.